We gotta split up. Webs, you feel like a girls' trip?
Yes.
More and more movies today are created with more adult sensibility. There are tons of adult jokes, deep and meaningful messages, and references that only people who are older than at least 18 will understand. For example, the Bad Guys movie has an adult sensibility in its very DNA, and in this video, we will reveal all the details that only adults will notice. Stick till the end to watch everything, and hit that subscribe button.
The Golden Dolphin! You got it. Since when do we not finish a job?
If you watched at least one Tarantino movie, you'll definitely notice that The Bad Guys has the same vibe. Indeed, the animated film was inspired by the filmography of Quentin Tarantino, and we should admit that this kind of movie is definitely not made for kids. Aaron, the author of the comics that inspired the movie, said in one interview, "My original pitch was for this Tarantino for kids, and also you can see a few nods to Tarantino in The Bad Guys. Adults will 100% get Tarantino vibes from the very first shots of the movie. For example, the opening shots begins with Wolf and Snake sitting in the diner making idle chatter. A few seconds later, they stand up, pay their bill, and rob the bank. As easy as it is in Tarantino movies. Just like that. Did you get which Tarantino movie it comes from? It was a reference to the opening scene of Pulp Fiction, which also involves two characters chatting in a diner right before they commit a crime. There's a theory that the names of the movie's characters, Mr. Wolf and Mr. Snake, were also a reference to the heist team from Reservoir Dogs because they also had codenames like Mr. White and Mr. Pink. Plus, just like in Reservoir Dogs, there's no scene of the heist itself, and many people think that such a technique was borrowed from Tarantino for comic effect.
Analyzing on these skills.
All right, fine. Get it all out. Get it all out now.
Okay.
Another famous heist movie that inspired The Bad Guys was Ocean's 11. We can easily admit that the animated film borrowed a page from Ocean's 11 playbooks, at least because both movies have the main character who walks through the elaborate plan via voiceover while showing it unfold on screen. The next thing that comes up is when Wolf decides to steal the Golden Dolphin, and Snake tells him, "I thought we weren't supposed to make things personal," stating that he shouldn't do it and risk everything to mess with Diane. This is exactly what Danny Ocean did in the movie, as he made his ex-wife's new boyfriend his target. His crime partner tried to warn him, but he didn't listen. So as you may understand, both Bad Guys and Ocean's 11 end on a similar beat as well. In both movies, the main characters end up in prison and their ex-women were there to greet them after their release. Not many people have noticed it, but there's also a direct comparison in The Bad Guys between Wolf and Danny Ocean. After Wolf announces that he plans to lay on the charm, Shark wiggles his eyebrows and says, "Oh yeah, the full Clooney." Did you catch that moment? Let us know in the comments down below.
We felt the wag, man, and the tingle.
It's good, man.
This is super moving, but can we do this later?
We all know that the news we watch on TV can be a total pun, and this is exactly what is shown in The Bad Guys. Tiffany Fluffit, the lady from Channel 6 Action News, talks way too much, and all her stories are empty fluff. Not all the kids who watch this film notice this, but Fluffit is meant to be a satire on the all-too-real phenomenon. She is a symbol of yellow journalism and tells exciting stories or promotes an agenda over presenting the truth. She knows which words to use when commenting on current events to generate more hype, and she called Wolf and the gang the most diabolical criminals of our time. Adults may also notice that she cares only about interesting stories and won't talk about the things that won't make the audience react. When the possibility that the gang will redeem themselves appears, she says, "Perhaps this is the feel-good story we all need." But she went even further when she tried to extract a simplistic takeaway from the disastrous events at the gala for goodness, concluding, "You should always judge a book by its cover, and all stereotypes have been affirmed." All these situations show that Fluffit is picking the details she needs to create the narrative she wants. But maybe she is just so into the creation of her own narratives that she really began to confuse fact and fiction. Just look at the bottom of the screen that reads, "The Bad Guys arrested. Life not at all like a movie." Did she realize this fact? What do you think?
OMG! And a shocking twist, the notorious bandit.
What many people like about Bad Guys is that the movie includes realistic dialogue completed with the occasional swear word. But the thing is that the actual bad words are not used at all. You definitely notice that some phrases were cut off before they were finished, and sometimes obscenities were substituted with other words. The wordplay in the movie is fantastic, as some characters used many cusses but have never said an actual cuss word. For instance, seconds, Tarantula says what the thorax, and Wolf tells the team, let's make like a wolf and get the pack out of here. We bet everyone understood what he wanted to say for real, but it is created in a fun way. What's more, the movie is even daring enough to acknowledge the joke. Ha, wordplay, replies Piranha, before he admits blank-faced, I don't get it. Another detail that was hinting at bad words using was written on the prison walls. We all know that in places like this, nothing's good to be seen. We mean the words written on the walls. So there were initials, SUCM. They stand for Super Ultra Crazy Max. But if you say them out loud, it sounds an awful like suck 'em. Oops, sorry. We were just revealing what we noticed in the movie.
You totally lost me.
I told him to stop drinking out of the toilet.
Hey, did you get hit on the head?
One of the most important moments of the movie is rescuing a bunch of guinea pigs from an animal testing lab, and in the movie we understand that it was a right thing to do. But the thing is that the movie doesn't really explain the reason why the guinea pigs need rescuing. Probably because it's a kid movie. Marmalade assigns the mission to the gang and explains that thousands of guinea pigs are being poked and prodded by sadistic scientists. In reality, there are a lot worse things that can be done there than just poking and prodding. The movie doesn't explain that guinea pigs in labs have been injected with viruses that weren't approved for experimentation, or given doses of anesthetic that proved lethal. And what is even worse is there's no euthanasia to guarantee them to be peaceful. The ethical treatment of animals, PETA, reported that many animals suffer from the result of tests, which is obviously not mentioned in The Bad Guys. Sadly, there are many animated movies that prefer not to talk about animal cruelty.
Are you kidding me?
What do you think you're doing? We're supposed to save them, not eat them?
Let's come back to the fact that the Bad Guys movie was inspired by various movie classics. We've already mentioned Ocean's 11 and a few Tarantino movies, but there's also other films that influenced the Bad Guys. For instance, a movie like The Italian Job. It gave the Bad Guys a brassy, jazzy vibe that matched the classic action, and you may notice that the moment when the bad guy's car drives right down a flight of stairs, it reminds us of The Italian Job. But not only the 70s classic inspired Pierre, the director of the movie, anime was the other thing that helped create the Bad Guys the way it was. One of the biggest anime inspirations was from the Lupin the Third movies. I want more stylized, pushed, pose-to-pose animation, the director told Polygon, and you can see this influence in the film's action scenes. Many things in the Bad Guys operate according to the same cartoon logic as the Lupin the Third movies, and also there are a few references to Lupin the Third. There was also a moment in the car chase when Shark was basically swimming through the air in exaggerated motions, and it reminded of Lupin swimming up to a waterfall. We have another nod which also appeared during the car chase. Every time the chief of police hangs out her car window to grab onto Wolf's window, Wolf shows her that she'd better watch the road. In one of the Lupin movies, you can actually see that exact same scene. Is there anything else you would add to our list? Feel free to leave your comments in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.
All right, okay. Here, take it. Now stop crying, buddy.